Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV. Welcome to our Bonzo Bash series, and I have the head Bonzo Basher here, the stick man, Mr. Brian Tichy. Brian, how are you? Speaking everybody's language. And, I want to say something that the last Bonzo Bash, which was last May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, was the first time on the East Coast. And it had such, I'm getting goosebumps because I've seen the video so many times. We had two crews out there doing interviews, and you coming out as Stickman from Led Zeppelin 4. Dude, that's the best beginning to, how'd you come up with that? And what other ideas did you toy with?
It's just another act of brilliance. Stickman, it's like, we got to cover Soundgarden Spoon Man and be like, Stickman! We gotta do that. Stickman. It just sounds funny. It's like, what? But it's like, what else are you gonna call him? He's the Stickman,
Right.
You want to know the truth? The truth is because of Charlie Benanti. Because the first time he played, I thought he was joking around. He's like, I'm gonna come out like dressed up like Clockwork Orange, like Bonham did. And he's like, hey, can I run up real quick, check the drums, and then go back and change? I'm like, check the drums, and run back and change, and come back. It could take a little, so I wasn't sure if he was serious or not, but he was like, no. So he did. He came out, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I loved it. I loved that he was a character in the show. Yeah. And when he came back to play again, I think I asked him, and he said, yeah, I'm going to do it again, And I was like, it's like, man, that's awesome. And I was like, I want to be a character. I go, I want to be a character too. And I was going to be Bonham when he's trying to push the cow, on his, he's dressed up with the mud boots and that I wanted to come out and be that. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know how many people get that, and that's like kind of like a lot. But, and then I was like, well, how about just like an iconic figure that, everybody gets from Zeppelin? Like, you got the hermit, you got the kids climbing up the rocks of the House of the Holy, I'm like, but you got Stickman. That's like their biggest record. It's like, nobody even knows what's going on with that cover. We just accept it, Yeah. I'm like,
broken wall, picture on the wall, dude with sticks on his back.
Yeah, and you just look at this picture. What's it mean? What's going on? But so at the time, Sass Jordan, who's the singer in our band Sun, she was here and she actually helped me. We went down because I had canyons behind my house, and we went and we just walked down this little dirt path, and there was this all like where they had cleared some out for whatever reason. There was all this the perfect stuff was right there. The goods were there. We found the mother lode, and she's held me. I'm pulling all this stuff out, put it together. I go, I think that's enough. Is that enough? I don't know. Is that high enough? I'm online. I'm looking at my phone, looking at the picture. Sure. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we put it in my car and brought it home, and I tied it up and did the show. This is the NAMM 2013, the Bonzo Bash for the NAMM show. That was the first time I did it, and we were supposed to open the show. So that was all. It was because Charlie did something that I thought was really great. I thought he added a cool element to the show. And I wanted, it's sort of like, it's not like not to be outdone. It wasn't like I got to top him. I just wanted to add to the fun. It's like he's having fun. I want to have more fun. I want to have fun. So anyways, we the night before the show, we're supposed to open up with this. Your intro's got to be big, right? You got to have a big impact. So we got the drums are covered up. The gong, timpani, the drums are covered up, right? But not by one big blanket or sheet, by many. But that was also an accident. But it was an awesome accident. At the first show, nobody remembered to get a big enough blanket for the drums. So at the Key Club, they're like, well, we have a bunch of like dining room table blanket, sheets and stuff. And I'm like, okay, just use them all, put them on. And then Todd Burr, our drum tech, I'm like, okay, you got to take them all off. And then we just decided somewhere, like right before the show, do it strategically. Make it like a striptease. So you're going to first, so the whole thing was we play this edit that myself and Brent Woods, our guitar player, made, took all the best Bonzo licks and grooves and everything, and we made it a 2.5 fades it. So we fade in, we fade the lights out, so the place goes black, start freaking out the lights on stage. When the levee breaks, when the levee breaks, fades in, and it goes into all the other stuff. But while it's fading in for like 30 seconds, we did this in our Pro Tools. It faded in, and it gets really loud in the clubs. It's doing that, and then it goes into rock and roll. So we had that 30 seconds where you first take the sheet off the gong, I think, and then the timpani. So people are like, oh yeah, the gong and the timpani. Then he took it off the cymbals, and then he took it off the toms. But the last one was on the bass drum, and he just got it right the first show. He took it off the bass drum, and as soon as the three circles were exposed, it went into rock and roll. It was like just great timing. I think it's on video somewhere. And then for the next 2 minutes, it's just the kit with the lights going crazy. And then Brent comes out, he would theremin it up, and then I would kick an immigrant song. So it was like power, right? So I was like, that was kind of what we did. So we want to keep that, but then I wanted to add one more. I wanted to make it where Todd Burr, main drum tech, comes out like the town crier with a bell. He's like, hear ye, and he reads from a scroll, and we have this whole thing we wrote up, and he announces the show, with all these like little tips of the hat to Zeppelin titles thrown into what he's saying, and then he walks off. But while he walks off, he's got to get back behind the drums and start doing the drum striptease, the bottom, we call it Bonzo's Delight because his first solo was Pat's Delight, so we call it Bonzo's Delight. It's a tribute, it's all his licks, and that's fading in. He's doing his thing, but at the same time, I'm on stage covered up with a stick man, and I've got I had to find the jacket and like a the jacket and the pants and like I want to say Free Will. What do you call it? Free Will. I'm thinking of Neil Peart, Goodwill. The Goodwill store. I found the jacket. Rush should have their own Goodwill store and call it Free Will.
Free Will.
That'd be pretty cool. Like you go, there's Getty going, have you seen the jackets we got in today? So it's quite a good selection over there, especially if you're looking to do a Bonzo Bash, and you want to be stick band. We just got a couple in just the right color, a little bit of gold mustard kind of look. So anyways, and then you got Neil on the other side going, have you guys considered putting some concert toms up for the Bonzo Bash? Just, if I want to play, I might want to do a little concert tom activity. So anyways, you're like, Neil, you didn't really use them. But yeah, but, it could be cool. Like, this is what happens at Free Will, Goodwill.
Right.
So anyways, so I got so on the stick man, right? And I'm there. And then this is what happens the night before the show. We go, the doors are at 6, show starts at 7. NAMM ends at 6. How is everybody going to get out of NAMM, get in their cars, do whatever they got to do, change in the hotel or whatever it is, and get to the show, park, get in line, sit down, and be ready for show at 7? I'm like, it's not going to happen,
It
man.
wasn't easy.
I'm like, it's not going to happen. So I go, well, this sucks because I want everybody to see Stickman. And if they're not there at 7 to see Stickman, then, it's not going to be as fun. I want that place. I want everybody to see this, So my partner and I, Joe Sutton, we're the night before, we call Chris Frazier because what happens is we go, Joe's like, Brian, we got 3 sets. We got 3 acts. We got 2 intermissions. Why don't you do this in the prime of the show, 11 o'clock? After a second intermission, do Stickman. I'm like, because it's not the beginning of the show. It's like I want to do the beginning. That's when he's like, yeah, but if it's half filled by the time we start, do it when it's packed. So we went around this. It's like, okay, screw it. Let's just do it then. We'll just have a break and then come out and do it. And so we called Chris Frazier because now I'm like, well, what song are we going to open with? Because I've got to go into rock and roll from Stickman. I want to do this whole Zeppelin 4. So we're looking at the set list, and I'm like, what's a good opener? And I'm like A Whole Lot of Love. It's like one of their biggest songs ever. It's massive. It's the hugest riff. So what if we just start with A Whole Lot of Love? Hey, that's how Zeppelin 2 started. It worked for Zeppelin 2. Maybe it should work for Bonzo Bash. Zeppelin, of course, they closed with A Whole Lot of Love, but this could just work if you look at it from a standpoint of a record. Okay, it worked for Zeppelin 2. So Chris, what's up? Listen, I know you're supposed to play second set, track 8 or whatever, but can you open the show? And, everybody's got their different take on the show. Some guys, some guys, it's I mean, when you're behind the kit and you're behind the curtain, there's like all these drummers there, and then you step in because Todd makes this duct tape like walkway, and this year I told him I want duct tape sticks up, like so it looks like a fence of drumsticks leading up to the back of the riser, you know. And it's kind of a thing. It's kind of like we have a big table there. You put your wallet, and your keys, you have water, and you get ready. It's like you get pumped up. This is your song. This is your moment in the limelight at the Bonzo Bash. You know, it's just like you're 1, 2. So it's like maybe there's a certain amount of pressure. I never really thought about that because I've got so many. I start the show and then I'm playing guitar, and it's like I'm bouncing all over the place. But just if you're a drummer who's got the one song, that's your time, right? So to Chris, it's like, wait a second, you're having me open the whole show up. You know, it's like it's maybe it's a different take than just playing like 20 drummers down. So he goes, okay, all right, I'll do it. But he's even got to get there earlier because So I think that he might have felt a little extra pressure, but because you're opening the whole show. But anyways, so I'm like, okay, here's how we're gonna do it. I'm just gonna riff it out. We start with Brent and Michael behind the curtains. Right, and then but nobody's on stage. We've done the drums, that we've taken off we've done the Bonzo, the intro tape.
Striptease.
Yeah, the striptease. They're riffing back there. They're looking at each other. And then I'm back there, and I'm like, go, all right, go now. So they walk out to the front, and now they're riffing out in the front of the stage. And then I go, Chaz, you don't sing yet. You got to walk out, let them riff, and get the audience clapping. I'm like, this could be huge. It's one of Zeppelin's biggest riffs. And go, how y'all doing? Fucking make some noise back, clap, clap, clap. And then call out Chris. Chris comes out, takes a bow, sits down, and then, right? And they kick into the show. Boom. And it's like, this is cool. This is, all right, maybe it's not Stickman and all that stuff we planned, but this is still badass. And it was. It was badass. It's almost like I just thought of that again. I'm like, maybe we should do that again. That's pretty damn, that's a good tape. But we gotta do Stickman. So anyways, that was what happened. That was what we planned, and that's what we did. The night before, we planned it. But now, we get there, 6 o'clock, doors open up. I look out the curtain right before 7, and the place is nearly packed. And I'm like, wait, it's packed. I could do Stickman. Everybody's here. But Chris is there, like, spinning the sticks, like, getting ready to play. And you can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to change it all up. So we left it like we said, and we did Stickman later. But the impact wasn't as heavy as when we went to the East Coast. And friends of mine from high school had no clue what was going on because they see this dude look like frozen, doesn't move. And then he hobbles across the stage, then he hobbles to the drums, and he kicks in the song, it freaks some people out, like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be you. So it's, it's just, we probably need to come up with a couple other cool ideas, like that, but I haven't yet, but we have some time. Anyway, so that's how it all came to be. So now we make sure we don't cover the drums up with one blanket or sheet. It's like 6 of them or 7 or whatever, so we plan it, and we always make sure to pull the bass drum right when rock and roll kicks in out of when the levee breaks. So, but it's, but I want people, like when they're watching, like this is the beginning of the show, I want them getting pumped, and I want it like fuck, oh yeah, and
Oh, we got some filter carb on the screen. Oh, well. So you go all the way to the East Coast now to do 3 shows. And what was that like? I mean, I know you had a little bit of a different mix of people. And if no one has ever put on an event before, you have no idea what Brian goes through, him and his staff. But can you give us just an inkling without going too crazy, driving people over the coals?
I'm going to answer like the last question. But, the East Coast was peanuts compared to the show that, people don't talk about this, but when we played Mars, now that was, that took some effort. To actually get the drum set to Mars. And
to Mars, yeah.
They're not so familiar with the Bonham style. They're more into Carl Palmer up there, and
they are.
So the East Coast was a breeze.
That's cool.
No, what it was just more work because of logistics. We had to get, it was just 3 in a row in New York. Long Island and New Jersey. It was just a lot more to put together because just logistically we had to fly over there, and we had a couple different guys playing in the Moby Dicks. John DeServio, my buddy, a longtime buddy, plays in Black Label. He played bass, and man, it was like, it's just like you had that aspect of it. It's just, there's a lot more work because of logistics. But I think the toughest thing was we couldn't fly the sticks for Stickman. Like the last gig, I think I left him behind the club. I think I saw him on eBay for like.
I was gonna say you should have auctioned him off or something.
That'd be. I was burnt. I was burnt at the end, but I was like,
I
left him back. I'm sure they just threw him out. But it would be funny if you like walked into my house and there's the sticks hanging on the wall.
Right, with the coat on a coat hanger.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this, Brian. After you do those 3 shows, and now you've had a few months for things to sort of soak in, and you've done some other stuff, and now you're looking at, depending on when you're watching this, the show is in 3 weeks. If you're watching this as soon as we release it, if you're watching it next March, it's already happened. But I want to ask Brian, do you think of the last 3 shows you did in New York and New Jersey in planning the new show? Does it ever enter your mind, how am I going to top that, or what's going to be the big shebang with this one? Does that I'm sure you'll learn some things from the other 3, whether it's logistics or performance, but what's going to go into this that you learned from the last experience?
Oh, this I don't even think about the East Coast. I just think about last year we played, the observatory in Santa Ana, right next to Anaheim. We did NAMM weekend. We did it on Thursday night last year, same show. So we're going to do that again this year, Thursday night, January 23rd. And right now we have more drummers than we did.
Right.
And you never know what's going to happen. Any day something could pop up. Somebody can't make the show, somebody new comes in. So anything goes. But yeah, just look at it like last year. Like we're playing the same. So it's really nothing to do with the East Coast. It's more like we've already been to this venue. We've already, we know the club. We know the setup. We know where we want everything to be. It's a great place. It's an awesome venue. Just for this kind of show with the amount of guests and drummers and just people involved. There's a lot of room backstage. It sounds great. Stage is good size. It's cool. It's a cool place. So I'm just looking.
Yeah, and it sounded great too. And on the audience side, it sounded great the whole show.
Thanks. Yeah. Make sure don't crank vocals, because it seems like everybody wants to crank vocals. Just the singer. But I'm like, first of all, the drums got to be massive.
Right.
And you want to hear everything, but I just want everything to be even. If you can't hear the rumble and the kick, and you can't hear the pop and the snare, then something's wrong. You gotta, that's it. But everybody sounded really good. So.
Yeah, I moved around. It sounded great everywhere there. Actually, yeah, it was cool. Hey, a quick question, because this comes up, and you and I have talked about it. We talked about it last year when we did the interview. You're with Natal, and the Bonzo Bash is actually presented by Marshall and Natal, and you're using Paiste cymbals. Run everybody through the gear list that's going to be on stage, and for the 3 people that are a little bit tweaked, that it's not River brand drums up there, just enlighten them a little bit with some couple common sense things,
All that stuff, whatever. I'll tell you what matters. The drummers, the whole deal I have is like, dude, I want you to play the show, pick the song, have a great time. Play whatever licks you want, but if you don't use the tish sticks, you can't play the show. So that's my only real concern. That's it. Because without tish sticks, the world is just not as nice of a place. And there's something that, I think it's in the green. It makes you play faster, and you can play to a click.
Harder, heavier.
Yeah, and they're just and there's something in the lacquer, the performance enhancement finish, the
There's something in the lacquer. That sounds funny.
Something in the lacquer, I'm telling you. It's like,
Yeah,
so that's
I'm
it.
not really concerned about too much else in the show, except for, the guys, just make sure the guys just...
It's
just
all about the drumming and the music, the great performance. Nobody get tweaked out on the gear.
In a nutshell, real when we did the first one in 2010, there was no, okay, we'll do it. I have no idea. I'm just doing this show. Drummers, we all pick a favorite song and play, and it's going to be on the 30th anniversary of the passing of John Bonham. So, okay, cool. And it went great, and we did it again a couple times a few months later because I was going out with Whitesnake all year. We did 2 in a row. One was the January 12th, the release of Zeppelin 1, 2011. We tied that date in, and we did January 13th. Because the NAMM show, I think, was that weekend, so we tied it. But anyhow, and then I went on the road with Whitesnake all 2011. So it was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to do this ever again, It wasn't at the top of my mind as a big thing to have to decide. But those first 3 shows, the purist in me said, got to use Ludwig, I mean, that was, you go look at any picture from those shows, So I was excited. I got to get the acrylics, get the amber Vistalites, right? And I did, but I was, at that time, a D-drum guy, right? But the purist in me, the Bonham freak, said, you got to do this. I had recently just switched to Paiste and really was psyched with the 2002s and always been a Remo guy my whole life. So it just worked out that way. I was like, okay, I probably would have used Paistes for the show just because I there's a sound. But the difference with the Paiste is when you hit that cymbal, it has a certain sound in it. As long as you don't hit it with a hammer and just destroy it. If you just hit the cymbal like a crash cymbal, hit the ride, play the hi-hats, there's no sound like 15-inch sound edge. There's just it's the best. There's no other hi-hats, and they're 24-inch 2002 ride. 2002. So I know Bonham used some different models of Paistes here and there, but the 2002s, they're just like the most pristine sounding cymbals I've ever played in my life. I love them, but you can't really do much unless you put duct tape on a cymbal to change the characteristics of a cymbal. Okay, you can hit it with the tip, you can hit it with the shaft, you can hit it light, medium, hard, but it's still a cymbal that sounds a certain way.
Yeah.
With a drum set, you give me a wood kit made from brand A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z, and you give me 2-ply heads, and you tell me I can't go past a certain tension, and I have to use duct tape and muffle them. So you're going to tell me that drum set I'm not going to be able to achieve that on a certain type of kit that's more or less known on this famous recording for being something that was tuned tightly on a jazz record? No, it's not the truth.
Right.
The brand of the drum, it's not just drums, okay, it's the shell, but the drum set also comes with hardware. The drum set comes with all the little stuff that goes into around the actual shells.
Right.
And then the other factor is the heads and the tuning. So somebody who tunes this way gets a drum set to sound like that. Somebody who tunes that way gets that's why you have guys that play brand A that have drum sounds really well known for being a muffled, detuned studio type of drum sound. Then you have other guys with the same brand that tune more lively and use distant mics and have this other sound. Same brand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So the answer is like there's a big from the kid who wants to play drums to the final recording of your favorite record. There's so much that goes in to there's so many ingredients to that final outcome. It's not just a brand. It's not just the producer. It's not just the drummer. It's like, I mean, I'm so glad that that John Bonham was in a band with Jimmy Page, just like I'm so glad Keith Moon was in a band with Pete Townsend, and Pete Townsend let him be Keith Moon. We got to listen to this freak, this amazing freak, Keith Moon, be Keith Moon. Like, just, I mean, one of the biggest bands in the world, he got to be exactly what he was, as far as it sounds like to me. You listen to, whether it's Who's Next or Live at Leeds or something. Just like, listen to what that's such personality going on.
Although it'd be funny if we found out that that's really what Keith was like with Pete Townsend holding him back.
Right.
The same with whether it's Annie Johns or
Right.
Eddie Kramer and Jimmy Page, and like what they were all going for in that time period, with the gear and the mics and the compressors and the preamps and everything that was happening then, and then Bonham's amazing sense of tuning and hitting, and Jimmy Page's production sense with these amazing engineers. We've got some of the best sounding drums recorded ever.
Ever.
And you know
Groundbreaking
what?
sounds.
That's such a great point, Brian, because what you just said, for all of you that are really young, I'm pretty young, but for all of you that are much younger than even Brian and I, that don't even know the world of when we recorded with tape and when everything was run by tubes that heated up and the consoles weren't automated and the knobs were real big, they made what are still some of the best recordings with gear that is so archaic by today's standards technology-wise, but what they were able to do, and for those sounds to still be the benchmark of sounds now today, 30, 40 plus years later, is incredible. It's amazing.
Molecules going onto the tape. You know what I mean? It's like there's real tangible stuff happening with the air, and it's getting caught on tape. And I love working on Pro Tools, and I love how easy it can be, but I try to treat it like a bit of a glorified tape experience, because you start to, there's so many corners you can cut way too easily now. You can just go, it's copy paste, and it's on the grid. Oh, you're playing to a click. Nudge this and chop it and take and throw it over there. Fix that with that. It's like, man, I grew up wanting to play the top to the bottom of a record without making a mistake, like that. And I'm not saying I can. I'm just saying that's what the goal was. The goals were the goal was to not ever make a mistake and to be in a huge band that sells out Madison Square Garden. That's the goal, right? It's pretty lofty, but it doesn't mean it's not something I'm still trying to do. I'll try until I die. Try until you die. What was the other one we said before?
One note off. Oh no, that was something else.
Anybody listening that cares, because we're babbling a lot here, but that's all right. It's late at night. It's like I'm supposed to be sleeping. But listen, just
remember.
It's 3 o'clock right now in the morning for us.
things to remember if you don't really care about anything else, because we'll get back. Don't forget, I'm not finished talking about Natal and the drums. I know where we're at. I know. I'm pretty good about sidewinding and sidetracking and coming right back. Two things up. Try until you die, and you can't cater to the hater. Just remember those two things. And they're easy to remember because they rhyme. And that's another thing that's always fun. You get a little bit of rhyming in your life. It just makes you kind of bounce a little more happily down the street.
That and the tish stick.
Yeah.
You got to grab that ad. It used to be on Regal Tip. It's myself and
Glenn Sobel.
They're at this table I'm sitting at now. We didn't even have the green yet. We had black, but I had like 100 pairs, and we put them all over like we're eating dinner. And you've got Jason, like he's reaching with a fork into the plate of tish sticks to get another, and Sobel's pouring salt on his tish stick. And I'm all dressed up nice. I'm in a suit, and I'm holding my fork and knife traditional style. We're about to cut my tish stick, and it's tish sticks. Eat them up. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to see that. I just want to see tish sticks. Eat them up. I just thought it was funny. We have another one for tish sticks. I was supposed to be out in a lake with George Lynch, who's not even a drummer, but he's supposed to be out fishing with me, and somehow in this lake we catch tish sticks, and we have a whole barrel full of tish sticks, and I've got one, and we had this whole thing. We're going to weigh the stick down so it looks like the stick is trying to swim away because there's like a little 5-pound weight in the water, and it looks like it's fighting, and I'm trying to pull it, and it was supposed to be it was supposed to be tish sticks. It was get hooked. I think it was get hooked.
Well, you know why you take a guitar player fishing, right, Brian?
What's it? Oh, wait, no, why?
Someone's got to put the bait on. Sorry, George, just kidding. So tell us about Natal. and the magic connection too.
And don't cater to the hater. That's the main topic. And if you ever get a chance to see this great band called One Note Off, they're just really special. So anyways, yeah. So we did the first three Bonzo Bashes, which were called The Groove Remains the Same back then, until we realized that Bonzo Bash is just so much better and easier to say. The groove, the same remains the wave, the groove remains the move, the what remains the what? Like,
One note
how about
off.
Bonzo Bash? You bash, you have a party, you bash. It's Bonzo Bash. So, but the first three were Ludwig because of the purist in me. And then truthfully, like looking back, I kind of felt a little bad, like this is the truth. Why didn't I maybe just call D-Drum and say, hey guys, I'm doing this Bonzo Bash. Would you want to make an acrylic kit? You know, you had I think they stopped making them at the time. They had some acrylics because I have a Coke bottle finished acrylic from D-Drum. Mm-hmm. But the purist in me said, no, you got to do it this way. You know, I felt a little bad, that I didn't ask. Right. But it just didn't occur to me. It was like the first show. I'm just thinking, the purist in me, get the amber Vislet. But anyways, after switching to Natal for the Whitesnake tour, and going out all year and touring and coming off the road and not knowing that Whitesnake wasn't going to tour in the next year, I didn't really have a big plan of attack for the year, other than I was doing my band Son with Sass, and I play guitar in the band, so we were hoping we can get that rolling and all that stuff. And but then somewhere at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, maybe we should do people are asking, are you doing another Bonzo Bash thing? Oh, May 31st, the House of Blues. We messed around with a couple, where could we do it and stuff, and it ended up that date came up at the House of Blues. And it was great. We had Eddie Kramer's there, and some new drummers came and played. And it was a lot of fun. It was great. But when we got the date, and it had been well over a year since the last one, and now I'm with a brand new company. It just occurred to me. I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool for them? It's a brand new company, and I'm doing a show, and I just got the road. I'm playing their drums for a year, and it's a new relationship, and it just occurred. I was like, would you guys be interested in making a kit? It's a tribute to Bonzo, and we'll throw the Natals up there. Basically, you get the right size acrylic shells, and you stick your hardware on them. Right. Well, the next thing is to put the correct heads on and tune them correctly, meaning as best I can. That doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody's going to hit the drum and sound like John Bonham. It just means we're going to try and get the damn ball. But I can tell you when you hit the bass drum, and I tune those bass drums. When I do 26 by 14 with no hole and no muffling, I don't just come in and go, this is how you tune it. I hit it and listen to the room, and you play for the room. Everything's different. Everything reacts differently. And then generally your snare's a little more consistent, room per room. It's usually a good snare. But a bass drum with all that air moving, you might want to tighten it up in a smaller room.
I have a question about that, actually, if you don't mind. So when you're in a live situation like that with that kit, Brian, when you tune it, do you first tune it the way you would tune it, like you said, you're listening to the room, and then when they click the mics on, do you adjust the tuning with the mics on, depending on how it sounds?
It can. You can. Sometimes all of a sudden the way it's coming through the PA, it's now that's affecting the sound of the drum. So I usually go with my ear first. I just sit there, boom. Okay, this sounds like it should work, and I'm usually kind of close, like in the ballpark. And then if something needs to be tweaked, you tweak it, And the toms generally go tighter than you think. Bottom head tighter than the top, But there is a combination of which, if you give me two double head, tell me to tune two double ply heads and keep them medium to low tuning, it's not going to sound right, But if you go for I'm just a huge fan of the sound, so I just want to get it. I want to get close to it, and that's all I can try to do. But I do know that generally, bottom head on that snare, crank it tighter than the top. It's got it. That's how you get the pop and the depth. Bottom head's got to be tighter than the top. Same with the toms. The kick, I don't know if it's as much of an imperative type thing, but I usually just go by feel and the sound in the room. You know, it's, you know, a wacky overtone is a wacky overtone. You know, hopefully the even tuning of the head. You know, when you stretch it evenly and tune evenly, it doesn't have that stuff. But it is fun, man. When you sit down, that's the one thing. If you put a hole in the bass drum, put a pillow in it, and you've got everything right, and you've got the right kit, you know, like you got the sizes and you got your acrylics and blah blah blah. But this is the kit that without having that low end with that rumble and the way you can play into it, the way you either leave the beater on it, or play off of it, snap back,
right,
or you hitting light in a verse, you coming out of your fill with an extra oomph, like all these factors.
Through it.
You can these are factors that affect the whole sound of the kit, which we were talking earlier, is not unlike a piano. Of course, a piano is like, you know, there's a lot, you know, 80-something.
Sure.
88? Is it 88?
Yeah, 88 on a full one. But it's a full shell, just like a drum.
But my point was that instead of looking at each individual part of the kit, I try and look at it like a piano, or just like strumming a guitar chord. You know, the strings all resonate together. The kit's got to resonate together. And there's something that happens when you have that 14 cranked pretty high, and it's got a boom boom and a boom 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 boom, and then you got that underneath. It's a real wide spectrum. Real wide sonic spectrum, and then the snare, you know, hopefully you can get that thing, which is a whole other, you know, hold the stick. Where was this rim shot? Because, you know, you hit the center of the drum, it doesn't ring the same as when you go just an inch to the left, you know, and with the rim shot. And where's your rim shot here? Like, where's the sweet spot? You know, I'm always trying to find it, and but there's, you know, you just try and get it in that ballpark, and but all those things together have this to me, it's a magical sound, and I love it. So that's what you can't do that. You can't do it when you have a kick drum that's kind of dead, and it might be mic'd and sound badass through a PA. It might, you know, like your standard rock kick drum, but there's an impact going on when you have that big bass drum with that oomph, because you play it and you play it into the song. It works within the song and the dynamics of the song. And so yeah, my point with this whole thing is that it's like, on one side, yes, as far as Natal, they came out with a great product. I mean, like, they're paying attention to details, which is, you know, I guess you don't have to. You can make a drum and kind of be standard about everything. They're trying to make it, you know, make their own mark, which they're doing, and they're consistent and everything. And from their wood stuff to the acrylic, it all sounds great. Great snares, great. You know, I've played a bunch of different stuff from them. You know, whether it's been the clinics or the tour kits or the acrylic stuff. They've got a lot of great stuff going. But on the other side of it, you have a kit of drums, and you have to put a certain combination of heads on it and tune it a certain way to get it to sound a certain way. And for somebody to say that one brand is going to do the job more than another, compared to saying one approach of getting a sound out of a drum is going to do the job better, that's where I'm going. So when I say, and then here's the answer is in the drummers. Everybody sits down. All these amazing, some of my idols sit down on this kit, some of my buddies, some of my new friends, and they all sit down on this kit, and they come to rehearsals. And for instance, you know, maybe I shouldn't be quoted on it, but I thought I remembered both Chad Smith and Dave Lombardo saying that, you know, they set down the acrylics, and they started the next tour. They had acrylic kits, but there's. So, like, you know, and I hope that happens. You hope, you know, you're in an environment where you learn some new stuff, you discover some new things, and it inspires you. You know, we all hope that. But it's the reaction when the drummers would come and sit down on this kit, is that it's tuned well, and it's kind of in the spirit of what we're all going for. As is the band, as is Brent Woods' guitar tone, as is the way he plays. He's not going to run a an Ibanez through
A pig
a
nose.
7-string Ibanez through. I mean, yeah, I mean he's and use some two distortion pedals, and he's going for the spirit of Jimmy Page, and it's like we're all fans of Zeppelin, so it's like we wouldn't be doing this. There wouldn't be this band, the house band, the Moby Dicks. We wouldn't be doing it if we weren't a Zeppelin. You're just getting a guy that's going to go, oh, I really never got into this, now I'm going to learn it.
Yeah,
for
and
the
you
show.
all have
It's
the
like
integrity of
we
the
all love it.
sound,
So
which is great.
yeah,
which is great.
and it's fun. We're all like, you all learn as you go. And you all get in a room together. The funnest part of this show to me is actually the rehearsals. It's because it's a little more laid back, and everybody gets their chance to work on stuff. There's no pressure of performing, but there is a little bit of pressure. You want to play with everybody in the room, hanging out, and you want to kick ass no matter when you're playing, but you're working on it together, and it makes it a lot of fun, and it's a great hang. It's just an awesome hang.
If you're seeing this before January 23rd, 2014, whether you're going to NAMM or not, get to the observatory in Santa Ana, see the Bonzo Bash, and you're going to have the most amazing time. There's a house full of some of the most talented drummers on the planet, and what Brian orchestrates at these things is just phenomenal. And by the way, thank you for doing that for John Bonham. Thank you for doing that to the legacy of his sound, for the music, and for the drumming community. And everybody get there. If you see me tooling around, please say hi. And Brian, you and I have to get together in person soon. Maybe at the Natal booth we'll get together. Want to do another interview with you that's more in depth on your overall career. We've done 2 interviews that had a lot of focus on Bonham and when you left Whitesnake last year and all of that. But I really want to sit down with you and geek out on gear even a little bit more, but also talk about some of the other experiences so that other younger drummers and even older drummers can learn from some of these just phenomenal experiences you've had with Ozzy and Whitesnake and Foreigner and Billy Idol, and then sitting in with Queensryche, and you just did a show with the Guess Who, which I want to interview you about at NAMM. And Lori Shube told me, who works for us, and of course the Tichy Stick, when she heard that you were going out to Reno to do the Guess Who, she flipped because she loves. So I promised her I'd talk to you all about it. So maybe we could do that together at NAMM. She could be right there and listen in, okay?
Yeah. So just if anybody, it's a really fun show, and like you can say, it's so hard to put it together. It's just so stressful. Blah, blah. It's like, at the end of the day, it's my choice to do this show, and I've learned a lot doing it. It's which is really cool. There's a when you say that this is my little goal. I'm going to do this show, but it involves a lot of people, and I can't have Simon Phillips's and Nico McBrain's and Carmine and Pieces, and I can't have these guys show up and into a show that's not badass. I can't have it be like ramshackle, goof central, like half-assed .org.gov. It's got to be like, it's what I mean. It's got to it's got to be what I love about speed bagging. It's controlled chaos. It's got to be like, there's stuff that's going to happen that nobody has control over, but it should be in an environment that's been well thought out and well planned and organized, and hopefully it stems from passion and respect. That's where it stems from. There's no way there's no way I even bother doing the show. It's like takes I don't know, like 4 months. I've been 4 months really. You could probably throw it together quickly and stuff, but really the thought process of starting to plan ahead and little bits and pieces, it becomes full-time and stuff. I can only do it because it's just nice to see it when you're done with it. I always go, man, I'm not doing any more of these. It's just it's a lot, and blah blah blah. But then at the end you get these nice emails from some of the it's just it makes it's just really it's really nice to see that people had a great time. But at the same time it's I love it because every song rules because Zeppelin's my favorite band. But I'm not the only one, so I'll be just that's why I don't even know if how much I'll be able to.
And if not, we'll get together elsewhere. You come out here when you come out here to Vegas with the Moby Dicks or something, or when I'm out in LA.
But we're in Vegas. We're in Vegas, dude. What's today? What's today? Sunday.
Today's Sunday.
Dude, Saturday night I'm there. We're in Moby Dixon Van.
I'm a mile and a half. I live a mile and a half from there. I'll see you Saturday.
Well, we're gonna be playing 3 hour. We're gonna do a 3 hour show, and I'm gonna do a 30-minute drum solo because last time I said I'm doing 30, and I hit 20. It was like 18, 19 minutes, and 2 of the guys in the band walked on stage.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. The Bonzo Bash series here with the Bonzo Bash, your chief himself, Brian Tichy. Brian, thanks for taking time with me at 3:30 in the morning now. Really appreciate it. And
This is what happens when you call me and go, hey, do you have a few minutes?
literally, that's what happened. I wanted Brian to come on and say, yeah, this is how the Bonzo Bash was. This is what the next one's going to be. Have a great night. And we just talked drums. That's why we're all here on Drum Talk TV. The
Don't talk TV.
art of the bag.
I'm this. This is a new DVD. It's a speed bag story. It's a history of the speed bag. And I played I played speed bag on that metal show. Like I played the drums and the speed bag together. Well, a VH1 gave these guys footage, and
Cool.
I did some interviews.
You're in there.
But it's Alan Kahn, Speedbag Skunk. This dude, I don't even know him. He's like one of these guys. If you're a drummer, it's how can you not be in the speedbag?
That's right. Yeah. Well, we're going to cover that in the interview. And
next time we'll do it, I'll go in my garage.
we'll do the speed bag.
Got speed bags.
Cool.
Speed bagging in there.
Sounds
I
good.
usually have a drum set over here, but it's in my garage because I did a gig. I played a gig and I never put it in because I had to do another gig somewhere else. But usually I record in here. Like my house is crazy. It's like a music store exploded
right
next door to a gymboree. And all these kids' toys and music stuff just fell random. And that's kind of like what goes on. So I have like 4 acoustic, just guitars and then drums and Christmas trees, and then I got these Randy Rose posters I'm hanging up in my stairway and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But speed bags in the garage.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Watch for the Bonzo Bash series here on Drum Talk TV, featuring Brian Tichy and about 20 other of the greatest drummers in the world. And we'll see you soon.
Closer to 40.
Closer to 40 on this next one. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brian.